a little mobility. So if you have a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, a baseball, you can bring that around with you, and we're going to use that in just a moment. But to start, we're going to start on in tabletop. So on all fours, you're going to bring yourself so that your shoulders are stacked on top of your wrists and your hips are stacked over your knees. So making sure you're not back here, making sure your shoulders are actually stacked over those wrists. Curl those toes under, and then take a deep breath in, curling that belly button in, tucking that chin. Good, breathing out, drop the belly, chin floats up. Good, deep breath in, tuck it under. And I want you, as you move through this, really feel through where there's tension, where you need to stretch. I know for me, I can feel this in my core. My core is pretty sore today. Good, deep breath in, tuck it under. Good, breathing out, open it up. Good, pressing into those hands, into those feet. We're gonna pedal up those legs in downward dog. Good, one side and the other. Good, one side and the other. Good. I want you to drop both heels, so stop the pedaling. And you're to float one leg up. And then you're to bend that knee, open up that hip. So you can get a nice opening in the side body. Good, and then you're gonna step that right foot to the outside of the right hand. Good, nice and easy. You may need to assist it up if you can't get it all the way up on your own. And then you're gonna rock forward and back on that back toe. Opening up that hip. Finding your breath here. Amazing, pressing into those hands, step back into downward facing dog. Good, floating the left leg up this time, bend that knee, open up the hip. Good, stepping forward that left foot to the outside of the left hand. Good, and then land here, same thing, rocking back and forth. Amazing, step back to your downward facing, bringing your toes together, bringing your knees down, and then bring them nice and wide. You're gonna go into child's pose. So top of the feet on your mat, sit those hips back, reach those fingertips forward, and really walk those hands forward, getting a nice stretch in those lats. Amazing. From here, I want you to bring yourself up with your hands, and then you're gonna widen your feet as wide as your mat. And actually, you can take your knees a little wider, so we're gonna go into what's called frog, right? So you almost want your shins in line with your knees, and then you're gonna walk yourself forward. So this is gonna be a nice, big, intense stretch through the groin. So just be gentle. You're gonna walk yourself forward on your forearms. Good? And then you're gonna rock forward and back. Good? You're almost... It's gonna feel like you're trying to get into the splits, but we're not. We're just trying to open up those hips. So try to keep the knee, the ankle in line with the knee right behind you, and then rock yourself forward and back. It might suck a little bit, so just be gentle. Amazing, then press yourself into your hands, bring those feet together, and then rolling yourself to be seated. Good. Bringing the soles of the feet together and bringing your ankles towards you. Good, and I want you to drop those knees as deep as you can, finding your breath, leaning in here. Good, getting a nice opening in those hips. Amazing, sitting yourself up, bringing one leg in, our classic glute stretch. We're gonna get into here just before we get into our lacrosse ball rolling. Good, rocking side to side. And scoot yourself forward as close to your heel as possible, right? So you're gonna get that nice stretch, good piriformis, proud chest. Amazing. Unravel yourself. Bringing your legs straight just before we get our ball. Good. And I want you to tuck that tailbone under. Deep breath in, arms above your head. Good. Breathing out, reaching forward just to wherever your body allows you. Good. Tuck that chin around that back. Breathe through any tension here. Good. Deep breath in, sitting all the way up. Do it again. Reach all the way up. Breathing out, folding forward, hanging out. Getting a nice stretch through that body. Good. And slowly round yourself up. Good. You can go grab your ball. Tennis ball, lacrosse ball, baseball, whatever kind of ball. Good. You want something that's small enough that you can get a nice pressure point activation. And you're gonna get it from a crisscross position, the ball right underneath the ball of your foot. Keeping your heel down as the fulcrum. Good. And you're going to take that hand, so you're gonna bring your elbow to the inside of that leg. Take your hand and put pressure on that foot, right? This just gives you an opportunity to kind of roll that ball underneath the ball of your foot. Amazing. Take the ball, bring it under the arch of the foot. Amazing. And roll it even closer to the heel and do it again. So you want to take your time with this. It just allows an opportunity for the little ligaments under the feet to kind of get a nice stretch. Good. And then take the ball underneath the heel, putting the ball of your foot on the ground as a fulcrum, right? And you can hold onto your ankle here, kind of push into that heel. Good, and roll it back and forth. What we're looking for is kind of get into that crunchiness in the heel, so you can feel some nice little release through here. Amazing. Let's switch sides. So same thing with the other side. Ball underneath the ball of the foot. Keeping the heel down as a fulcrum. Good, and roll it from side to side. And take your time, right? You can go as slow as you need to kind of feel the release of any tension. Good, and then bring the ball closer towards the heel, same thing. Put pressure side to side. Good, and again, roll it closer to the heel. And then feel it again. Amazing. Bringing yourself up, ball of the foot down. Hope you can see that, right? Heel, ball underneath the heel, holding onto the ankle, and then starting wherever it feels good, right? And rock side to side. Good, and then you can do a couple passes and move on over. Amazing. Take the ball to the other side. Good, we're gonna work on our calf. Good, so if you remember, we like to divide our leg, our calf into half, right? So lower half, upper half. So we're gonna start with the lower half. So I'm gonna get you to lean back, right? And the point of contact is the ball, right? You're gonna turn, let's just go back and forth first. So you're just gonna go give it a couple passes forward and back, and then give it a couple passes side to side. Right, and as you go side to side, you can move that hip forward so you can get side to side close to the midline or the middle of the calf, and then side to side so it gets closer to the ankle. Good. Now you're going to turn those toes inwards, and you're going to just let your hip kind of go back and forth so that it's giving this nice rolling motion for the ball. Good, and then turn those toes upwards slightly. Yes, Sloan. And then open it up. I will. I can't do it right now. I'm working. I'm not available till noon. Sloan, I have clients right till noon. Ask Dad. Amazing. Now we're going to move the ball up to the upper half of the calf, and we're going to do the same thing. So start with going back and forth. Back and forth, back and and moving that hip forward so that ball moves closer towards the knee. Amazing, and now leaning back onto the opposite hip, you're gonna roll back and forth. And first turn those toes inwards. Good, and then turn them facing up. And then open up the inside of the foot. Amazing, switch sides for me. Good, so let's do the same on the other side. So again, starting with the lower half of the calf, go side to side, moving that ball up. Amazing. And then turning those toes inwards, forward and back. Toes facing up, forward and back. Good, and then opening up the inside of the foot. Amazing, and bringing yourself forward to the upper half of the calf. And just notice, where are there points of crunchiness, tension? Good, now let's go in our back and forth motion. Turn those toes inwards and slow it down. And you can always use a hand if you need it to kind of guide that leg on the ball. And what it should feel like is like a nice massage up and down the back of the calf. Amazing. And then turning the inside of the foot up. Amazing. Good. Take the ball onto the other side. So we're going to go right into the glute area, right? So when you're seated, right, you can feel that hip bone, right? I want you to move to the juicy piece, right? So this kind of area moving towards your glute, your hip, and you're just going to get onto that side, right? So you're going to use this leg bend to kind of help you moderate the pressure. And you're going to get right into that side. So again, you should never be on any bony projections, never any nervy places, but this should feel kind of good getting into your glute. And you're just gonna land on there and kind of roll around. And then you're gonna find a point of tension and you're gonna land there and you're gonna breathe, right? Because you may find, especially if you joined us earlier this week with a lot of legs, glutes, hamstring activation, it might feel really tight in here. So I just want you to release it. And even if you're not tight, this is a really great spot to kind of release any tension in the back. Amazing. Good. And then I want you to bring it a little bit lower down, right? So almost towards your quad, but just above where that femur kind of inserts, right? So it's going to be a little bit lower, same kind of spot. You'll feel it going towards the glute. Land in there, roll and breathe. Amazing. And let's stay on this side while we're here. I'm going to get you on your back and taking that same line. So we were in this side. Now we're going to go close to the tailbone, but not on the tailbone. Good. And we're going to put it underneath there. And you're going to put your feet shoulder width apart, and you're going to lift your backside off the ground. And you're going to be able to rock those hips so that the ball comes from close to the tailbone to the outside of that glute. Good. And taking your time side to side. Good. Side to side, nice and controlled. Amazing. Then scoot yourself up so that the ball moves towards your legs, right? So you're going to almost find these bands across those glutes. And again, moderating the pressure with lifting, pushing through those feet to lift your backside off of it. Good, and slowly take your time. This should feel like a nice release. And the more you rock your hips to one side, the longer the band of that kind of rolling stretch will go. Good? Good, now we are going to flip sides. So you're going to prop yourself back up, bringing the ball onto this side. Good? Same thing, you can straighten that bottom leg. Top leg helps you moderate that pressure. And let's kind of get into that side nice and controlled. Breathing. Good, take your time here, and again, if there are any points of real tension, just pause there, breathe, lean into it, right? Connecting your breath to your breath allows your body to ease in, dissipate that pressure, and get out of that kind of fight or flight like reaction, like, oh my God, what is that pain, right? So find that spot, roll through any points of tension. Amazing. Bring that ball a little farther down, right? So it's almost, you can feel that hip bone just behind there to the juicy, meaty part. And again, get right in there. Amazing. On your back now, please. Feet shoulder width apart. Same thing, bringing it underneath your backside. Again, never on the bony projection of the tailbone, and you want to start from the top, kind of that crest of where the tailbone starts and the hip kind of meets. And you're going to roll from there, only the meaty parts, right? So you might find there's not a massive bend there, right? Then you move it down and rock side to side. Find your breath. Good, and then scoot yourself up slightly, side to side. Good, and then scoot it down a little bit more. Again, nice and controlled, rocking those hips side to side, getting right into that glute, getting those little spots of tension, pausing where you need to release it. Amazing. Keeping the ball on the floor, you're going to flip over to your belly. We're going to get into our quad muscles. We've done this before. You can rest your forehead on your hand or wherever it feels comfortable. And you're going to reach that ball so it's right underneath the middle of your quad muscle. Good? And you're going to try to encourage that hip to come down to the ground. And you're just going to land there and breathe as that ball pushes into your quad. Good? And then you're going to slowly bend that knee. And what we're looking for is kind of like that quad muscle to kind of find different spots on this ball, right? Because as you bend and extend, you're going to find those muscles that your muscles kind of like plunk over the ball, right? And we're just trying to find nice, slow traction of this leg contracting and extending. So bend, you activate that glute as the mechanism to pull it up and extend nice and slow. Bend, good. Nice and slow, guys. This is not about rushing through it. Take your time. Amazing. Keeping the toe on the ground, I want you to kind of rock that ball back and forth. Right? So side to side, kind of opening up, feeling that nice little movement in the quad. Good, and then you're going to switch sides. Good, so take the ball underneath the other quad, right in the midpoint, right? So wherever your hand kind of lands that ball, and kind of lean into this. And again, nice and controlled. Bend that knee, extend. Trying to keep this left hip or whatever hip the ball is under close to the ground and extend. Nice and controlled. Finding your breath. Good, and just notice where the points of tension are, where that quad contracts and extends to and moves that quad muscle around to. And just notice, I know for me, this side is way tighter than the other. And then just observe where you might be holding your tension. Nice and controlled. Amazing, and keeping those toes on the ground, just rock and roll that ball to the outside and the inside. Amazing. Good, you're going to flip yourself over here onto your back, and we're gonna take the ball underneath the back. So we're looking to put the ball not directly on the spine, right? You always want the ball on the juicy, meaty parts of your body, those beautiful muscles, right? So if this is your spine in the center, I want you to find those nice, strong muscles to the side. And we're gonna get right in there. So right on your back. Good, we're gonna start with just above the lower back, right? So we were working just by the tailbone. You're gonna go just above that, kind of land there, right? So it won't feel like much because this is where the natural curve of your back is. But I want you to just place it there and lean into it. And you know when we do core activation and we tuck the tailbone under and we press the small of your back, I want you to get in the same kind of frame, right? That you're tucking under and pressing against that ball. And I want you to kind of, without going onto your spine, wiggle your hips slightly. So you're gonna feel that ball passing over that big, thick muscle of your back. Now, depending on how developed that muscle is, you might find it hard to find or easy to find. I've always had strong, I don't know why, thick rectospinal muscles here. It's that muscle where a massage therapist runs their thumbs up along the center of your back, but not on your spine. It's that muscle. And I want you to just kind of rock side to side on it gently. And it should feel like a nice release. Good, and now take the ball a little higher, same side. So we're gonna do the same thing on this side. And again, kind of rock and roll. And this time you may need to move your ribs more than your hips to get that same kind of release there. Good, and breathe through it. Amazing, and then move it up a little bit more. Good, and again, more of a rib movement than a hip movement. Amazing, and then scoot yourself down or roll the ball up. And you're gonna bring it almost like to the bottom of the shoulder blade. So your ribs you might find pop up to get to this spot. And just land here. You don't need actually any movement here. Just land on that muscle and breathe into that space. Amazing. Take the ball from under your back and you're gonna go to the other side this time. And again, not right at the small of your back, but just kind of underneath that natural curve, right? And depending on how big your curve is, you may or may not feel it at this point. And if you're not finding that kind of pressure release there, I'm gonna ask you to pelvic tilt, right? Close down those abs and you're gonna rock those hips side to side. Again, remembering never to be on the spine itself, on the vertebrae, right? Just that meaty muscle on the side. And again, you're rocking side to side, right? And you feel that nice release, nice little massage. Good, move the ball up slightly. And do it again. Amazing, and then do it again. Move it up a little more. And just find those points of tension and kind of notice, is one side tighter than the other, right? Depending on how you sit. I know how I have a super bad habit of sitting with my left leg tucked up under me, almost like half crisscross legs. Yes, even when I'm like sitting, working, I sit like that, right? So sometimes this causes an imbalance and you'll find that one side is tighter than the other. Good, move the ball up a little bit more and rocking those ribs more than those hips. And so just notice in your body, right? Where is there tightness? Where is there tension? Where is like a side completely more relaxed or stretchable, right? Good, then move it up again. You should still be able to keep contact with those shoulders down on the ground. You may not be able to move that much here, right? We're just trying to get into that muscle and lean into it. Amazing. So we're gonna scooch ourselves up, sit yourself up, bringing yourself up against a wall. We're gonna take the ball and the wall, and we're going to roll the ball from the point that you were just at from here, inside that shoulder blade, right? All the way up to our neck. So we're trying to find a nice straight line here, okay? So find a wall, bringing yourself butt against the wall, bend those knees as much as it'll allow you, and you take the ball right behind that shoulder. And so like I said, we're gonna try to roll it right along the midline, just to the outside of the vertebrae. Right, so as you extend those legs, the ball will move down, and as you bend those knees, the ball will move up. Finding your breath, moving it along here. Deep breath in, breathing out on the way down. So find a breath and a rhythm, and just move. And you want your butt, it's almost going to be sliding along the wall. So if you have any things on the wall, like wallpaper or any features, you may need to find a flat wall so you can roll against it. But this should feel really nice, right? As the ball comes up, it'll feel like a nice release. You can adjust as you go along. But you want it to come from that point where we just lying down on, right? The base of that scapula. All the way up, right up until your shoulder. Now I want you to drop your neck. And as the ball comes up, you'll feel that nice release. This should feel really good. Amazing. Take the ball, move it to the other side. So starting out with a bent knee position. Bettina, that'll really test how well you're going up and down and straight. She's doing it on her fence, has big slats going this way. Good, and find your rhythm. Deep breath in as you move down, breathing out as you extend. And let that ball roll up and down. And just notice what this feels like in your body. Good, drop the chin. So for me, this side is way tighter for some reason. Way, way tighter. Find your breath. Move through it. And again, if there's ever any points of tension, just land there. Pause. Breathe. Because that time, it's almost like when your massage therapist gets in there and lands on that knot to release it, right? You can do these little self-releases on your own. Amazing. Drop it down. Good. I want you to find a corner of a wall. We're going to get into the chest. Good. And so the best way to do this is against a wall, because then you can toggle the pressure. But I'm going to also show you another way to do it. So find that wall, or if you have a yoga block, I want you to grab it. So a yoga block also works because it allows you to prop yourself up, right? So I'm going to show you with a yoga block. So you're going to bring yourself down, almost on your belly, bend that knee. And the block is going to be the ball is going to be the inside of the block and the block facing outside. And you're kind of leaning right into where all the insertion of the pec muscles are coming into the shoulder, okay? And so if you've been with us this week, we did a lot of push-ups on Tuesday. And so this, getting into the pec, or if you're working at a computer all day, is really tight. And so at the wall, you're basically going to roll yourself up and down, right? You're going to put that pressure. When you're lying down, it's the same kind of thing, but now you're going to be moving your arm to facilitate that movement. And you should make sure you're not on any nerve or bony projections, but you should feel that movement of that pec muscle, releasing as it moves over the ball. Right? And again, when you're lying down, or even if you're standing up against it, you can moderate the pressure against it. Nice. Amazing. Switch sides. So same thing on the other side, right? We're trying to get right into this chest area here, right? Good, and then moving that arm, even if you're standing, to allow that opening. And just notice, what side is tighter? This side, oh my God, my left side, way tighter than the right. Yeah, take your time, get in there, feel where there's tension, feel that release. We're a very forward-facing society, computers, you know, walking forward. These little muscles get nice and tight, so it's a beautiful opportunity to release them. Amazing. Pause there for a second. You can bring yourself back here. But while we're in this shoulder space, arms behind your back, even if you're standing, and I want you to open up that chest, kind of release those muscles that we were just kind of rolling out. Find your breath and kind of float those arms off your back, tuck that chin, open up that space. Amazing, shake it out. Good, bringing yourself to downward facing dog. Good, we are going to just stretch through those hips. Good, bring yourself to child's pose just for a second. Walk those hands up. Good, and then make your way to downward facing. Pedal out those legs one side and the other. One side and the other. Good. Taking the right leg, and you're going to swing that right leg forward into pigeon on the right side. Good, and if you have a yoga block or mat and you need the assistance, you can take that block underneath that hip so you can prop yourself up, right? Or a pillow, whatever you need. And then you're gonna bring yourself as far forward as you can, trying to keep that left hip closed, right? You're gonna get a nice big stretch. And then find wherever it's most comfortable. I recognize this is not a very comfortable position, but I want you to breathe into this space. Amazing. Pressing into your hands, curl that toe under, pressing yourself to downward facing. Pedal out those legs one side and the other. Good, now let's take the left side forward into pigeon. Same thing. Get some support underneath that left hip if you require it. Getting yourself down and closing that other leg, that hip forward as best you can. If this is not available, you can go right into the figure four that we did before in the beginning. Amazing, walking yourself up, pressing into your hands. Curl that back toe under, push yourself to downward facing. Pedal out those legs one side and the other. One side and the other. Good, you're gonna take that right leg and step it forward into a lunge position and bring yourself up into this lunge position. Good? If you need an extra something underneath that knee, that is fine. So we're going to do a variation of our hip flexor stretch. So I want you to get up in this position, pelvic tilt here. Good, and then I want both arms forward, directly forward. Without moving these hips, I want you to open up that chest as best you can towards the back leg. Good, so we're not going opposite, we're going towards. Keeping this glute activated, keeping this hip flexor stretching. There you go, Stephen. Good. So what we're trying to do is open up this shoulder as far as we can without rotating those hips. And you can take your gaze following that hand that's opening up, right? And there'll be a point that it feels like you can't rotate, so follow that hand with your gaze, meaning turning your head to the back. And as you reach back, you're gonna feel that nice extra stretch here. One more. Breathing. Amazing, release. So I want you to keep that intensity, switch sides, in that hip flexor, right? So pelvic tilt here, get into that hip, right? Feel that tension, that nice stretch. Arms here, good. Deep breath in, breathing out, follow that gaze. Keep this on. Good, come back to center, deep breath in. Breathing out, open it up. Keep this on, don't lose it. Back to center, deep breath in. Breathing out. Reach, rotate as much as you can, right? Imagine a wall here. I want you to keep this hand here and almost reach to try to touch that wall behind you. Amazing, give me one more. Really good, guys. Keeping that knee stable, keeping that hip flexor activated, open up. Deep breath in. Amazing, bringing both knees to meet your mat. Toes together, wide stance with those knees. Walk it forward. Oh my goodness, drop the hips. Good, and interlace those fingers, bring them to just by your shoulders. You should get a nice stretch in the triceps here. Drop those hips, breathing. Good, slowly release. Bring yourself back to tabletop where we started. Good, curl those toes under, take a deep breath in. Breathing out. Good, deep breath in. We're gonna tuck that tailbone in, rounding through. And I want you to notice, are you able to get more of a range of motion than you were before? Breathing out, open up. Good, deep breath in, starting with the tailbone, curl, curl under. Tuck that chin. Good, breathing out, open up. That belly, that hip, lifting up. Good, deep breath in, tuck that tailbone under. Good, breathing out, drop it through. Last one, deep breath in. Tuck it under. Good, breathing out, open it up. Amazing, bring yourself finally to a downward facing dog. Pedal out one side and the other, nice and slow. One side and the other. Good, drop both heels here, pressing into those hands. And then slowly I want you to walk your hands to your feet, bend those knees as much as you need to. You're just gonna ragdoll here. You can grab onto your opposite elbows and hang out. Good, and when you're ready, you're gonna slowly